Harlem, November 1950. Abyssinian Baptist Church. Sunday afternoon. Over 500 people, packed into wooden pews. The organ playing. His eye is on the sparrow. Reverend Adam Clayton Powell, Jr., mid-eulogy. Then Bumpy Johnson stood up. The room went silent. Bumpy walked toward the casket, slow, deliberate. The organ stopped. 500 people held their breath. Bumpy reached the casket, looked down at Nurse Grace Eleanor Carter, the thick makeup covering her face and neck. Everyone else saw a woman who died too young. Bumpy saw a cover-up. He reached down and touched the powder on her throat. His fingers came back covered in thick theatrical makeup. He looked at the funeral director. Why is there so much makeup on her neck? The man went pale. Bumpy pushed back Grace's collar. What 500 people saw next made women scream. Rope burns. Deep, brutal, purple and black. This wasn't a heart attack. This was murder. And what Bumpy did in the next 96 hours killed 3 men, made 6 NYPD officers resign, and changed Harlem forever. Grace Eleanor Carter was 32 years old, born October 8, 1918. By 1950, she delivered over 350 babies at Harlem Hospital, worked night shift for 8 years straight, never missed a day. Every Sunday she sang soprano in the choir. Grace had a younger brother, Daniel Carter, 29 years old. Daniel gambled, drank. By 1949, he'd burned every bridge in Harlem, so he moved to Providence, Rhode Island. February 1950, Daniel borrowed $900 from loan shark Angelo Russo. By April, Daniel owed $1,296 and couldn't pay. He disappeared. By November, with interest, Daniel owed over $2,200. Russo wanted his money. If Daniel wouldn't pay, Russo would find someone who would. He found Grace. Bumpy Johnson had known Grace since she was 9 years old. Winter 1927, Bumpy got into a knife fight, 4 deep cuts across his ribs. He stumbled into an alley on 136th Street, bleeding. 9-year-old Grace found him. She and her mother dragged Bumpy into their apartment, stitched him up, kept him hidden for 5 days. Bumpy never forgot. Over the next 23 years, he made sure Grace's family never wanted for anything. To Harlem, Grace was an angel. To Bumpy, she was family. Tuesday, November 7, 1950, Angelo Russo drove from Providence to Harlem with Dominic Palmieri and Salvatore Romano. They found Grace's address, parked across from her building on 38th Street. Watched, waited. No Daniel. By Thursday, Russo was done waiting. We take the sister. Thursday night, November 9, 1950, 11:47 p.m. Grace was walking home from her shift. She'd worked 15 hours. 2 blocks from her apartment, a blue Buick pulled up. Rhode Island plates. Russo rolled down the window. Your brother owes me $2 grand. Grace's stomach dropped. I don't know where Daniel is. Russo smiled. Then you'll pay his debt. Palmieri grabbed Grace. She screamed, fought. They threw her in the car and sped away. From across the street, Mrs. Clara Thompson saw everything. The blue Buick, the 3 white men, Grace's scream. Mrs. Thompson was 70 years old. She'd lived in Harlem since 1905. She knew police didn't come for black folks. But she grabbed a pencil and envelope, wrote license plate, Rhode Island, 3 white men. Time, 11:47 p.m., November 9, 1950. Grabbed Grace Carter. She put it in her Bible, sat by the window until sunrise, praying Grace would come home. They took Grace to an abandoned warehouse near the East River. Russo tied her to a chair. Where's your brother? I don't know, please. What happened next was 3 hours of torture. Rope, cigarettes, fists. Around 2:30 a.m., Russo wrapped the rope around Grace's neck. Last chance. Grace couldn't breathe. At 2:43 a.m., Grace Eleanor Carter stopped breathing. Shit, Russo said. We make it look like heart attack. I know a cop, Michael O'Brien. We give him $1,200. He makes this go away. They wrapped Grace's body, drove to her apartment at 3:45 a.m., laid her on the bedroom floor. Friday morning, November 10th, 7:15 a.m., the superintendent found Grace dead. Called police. Officers Michael O'Brien and Thomas Kelly arrived. O'Brien saw the rope burns. This wasn't heart attack. Kelly asked, what do you think? O'Brien looked out the window, saw Russo's blue Buick parked 2 blocks away. We're writing this as natural causes. Are you serious? Heart attack. That's the report. Kelly had a wife, 3 kids. He made a choice. Heart attack. That evening, O'Brien collected $1,200 from Russo. The official report was filed. Case 53827, Grace Carter, 32, cardiac arrest, closed. Then O'Brien drove to William Hayes's funeral home. Cover any marks on her body, heavy makeup. He gave Hayes $75. Hayes had 4 kids, a business. I'll make sure she looks peaceful. Friday. Word spread. Nurse Grace died. Heart attack. 32 years old. But something felt wrong. Mrs. Thompson knew different. She'd seen them grab Grace. 17 hours later, Grace was dead. Friday night, 11:52 p.m. Mrs. Thompson walked to Small's Paradise, climbed to Bumpy's office, door locked. She wrote, "They took her." Thursday night, 11:47 p.m. 3 white men, blue Buick, Rhode Island plates, the license plate number, no signature. She slipped it under Bumpy's door, walked home. Saturday morning, 6 a.m. Bumpy arrived at his office, found the paper on the floor, read it. They took her. He'd heard Friday. Illinois told him. Grace Carter died. Heart attack. 32 years old. Bumpy knew something was wrong. Grace didn't get sick, but police said heart attack. Now this note said different. They took her. Someone saw something. Bumpy called Illinois. "Get here now." Illinois walked in. Bumpy handed him the note. Thursday night she walks home. Friday morning she's dead. Police closed the case in 8 hours. Someone saw her grabbed. 17 hours later. Dead. That's not coincidence. What do you need? This license plate. I want to know everything. I'll have names by tonight. The funeral's tomorrow. Sunday. Abyssinian. You going? I'm going. And if someone covered this up, I'm finding out. Saturday evening. Illinois had answers. Blue Buick. Rhode Island plates. Registered to Angelo Russo. Providence. Age 44. Loan shark. Associates. Dominic Palmieri. Salvatore Romano. Daniel Carter borrowed money from Russo. Also got police names. Officers. Michael O'Brien. Thomas Kelly. Detectives. Richard Bennett. Frank Sullivan. Medical examiner. Dr. Leonard Ashford. Illinois had photos. Bennett at mob clubs. Bennett accepting cash. Bank statements showing $28,000 in 3 years. We've been watching Bennett for 5 years. Bumpy smiled. Cold. Perfect. Sunday, November 12, 1950. Bumpy pushed open the church door. Over 500 people. When Bumpy entered, conversation stopped. People moved aside. His eyes found the casket. Grace in a white dress. Too peaceful. The makeup was thick. Then he saw Grace's mother, Mrs. Elizabeth Carter, 74 years old. Face destroyed by grief. Ellsworth. My baby. She was so young. I know, Mrs. Carter. They said heart attack. But Grace was never sick. Bumpy squeezed her hands. I promise you, I'm going to find out what really happened to Grace. You promise? Yes, ma'am. The service began. Reverend Powell delivered the eulogy. Grace Carter was a servant of God. Over 350 babies born because of her hands. Bumpy's eyes kept returning to the casket. The makeup was wrong. Theater makeup thick, like covering something. Bumpy stood up. Didn't plan it. Just stood. The organ playing. The choir singing. 500 people turned to watch Bumpy walk toward the casket. The music stopped. Complete silence. Bumpy reached down. Gently touched the makeup on Grace's neck. It came off on his fingertips. Thick. Heavy. Bumpy turned to William Hayes. Why is there so much makeup on her neck? Hayes's face went white. I was making her look peaceful. Peaceful doesn't need this much cover. Why? Bumpy looked at Mrs. Carter. Ma'am, I need to check something. She nodded. Bumpy pushed back Grace's collar. Everyone saw it. Rope burns. Deep red. Purple. Brutal. 2 lines circling her throat. Someone screamed. Women cried. Men stood. The church erupted. Bumpy pushed back Grace's sleeve. Cigarette burns. Dozens. Her hands. 4 broken fingernails. Bruised knuckles. She'd fought hard. Bumpy closed his eyes for 3 seconds. Saw Grace screaming. Fighting. Dying. When he opened his eyes, his hands were shaking. Who told you to cover this up? Hayes trembled. Officer O'Brien. Friday night. He gave me $75. I have kids. A business. You couldn't say no. Hayes nodded. Tears streaming. The church in chaos. Bumpy raised his hand. Silence. Reverend. Call the police commissioner. Tell him what we found. I'm demanding a real investigation. Powell nodded. Bumpy turned to the crowd. Grace Carter was murdered. Tortured. Strangled. Police tried to hide it. But Harlem doesn't forget. Harlem doesn't let its people die without justice. The church erupted in shouts. Then Bumpy walked out. And 500 people knew somebody was about to die. Monday, November 13th, 9:30 a.m. Bumpy walked into the 28th precinct. Straight to Detective Bennett's desk. Bumpy placed an envelope on the desk. Open it. Bennett's hand shook. Inside. Photos. Bank statements. Bennett went pale. "I've been watching you for 5 years. Grace Carter was murdered Thursday. Your boys wrote heart attack, closed it in 8 hours. I didn't know. You didn't ask." Bumpy pulled out 2 more envelopes. "This goes to the DA. This goes to the Genovese family explaining how you've been skimming." Bennett understood. "Prison or grave. What do you want?" "Find Angelo Russo, Dominic Palmieri, Salvatore Romano, Bronx. Russo has a cousin there. And then, you give me their location." Bumpy stood. 48 hours, detective. By Tuesday morning, Bennett had a location. South Bronx. Russo's cousin Carlo. Bennett called. "I have an address." Tuesday, November 14th, 11:30 p.m. Bumpy, Illinois, and 4 men sat across from Carlo Russo's house. Midnight. Lights went out. 12:45 a.m. Bumpy's men moved. Cut phone lines. Surrounded the house. 1 a.m. They went in. Angelo Russo grabbed his gun. Opened the door. Illinois stood there with a shotgun. "Drop it." Russo dropped it. Downstairs, Palmieri and Romano were on their knees. Bumpy walked in. Russo's face went white. "Oh God, no." 1 a.m. Abandoned warehouse. Same warehouse where Grace died. Russo, Palmieri, Romano tied to chairs. Bumpy stood holding Grace's photograph. Thursday night, November 9th. "You grabbed Grace Carter. Brought her here. Tortured her 3 hours. She didn't know where her brother was. So you strangled her. Dressed it up like heart attack." Bumpy's voice quiet. "Terrifying. Is that right? We were collecting a debt. You tortured a nurse to death over $900. That woman delivered 350 babies. She saved my life when she was 9. She was family." He held up the photo. "Look at her. She was 32. Never hurt anybody. You killed her over money." Russo started crying. "We didn't mean to. You wrapped a rope around her neck and pulled until she stopped breathing. That's murder. Paper and pencils. You're writing down exactly what happened. Every detail. And if we do..." Bumpy pulled out a gas can. "If you don't, I burn this warehouse with you in it. And if we write it, then you die quickly." All 3 started writing. 50 minutes later, Bumpy had 3 signed confessions. "Load them in the car." 3:45 a.m. The East River. Russo, Palmieri, Romano tied with chains. Weights attached. Last words. Russo sobbing. "Please. I have kids. Grace had a mother. She was my family." Bumpy nodded. Russo screamed going over. Screams cut off hitting water. Palmieri praying. "Hail Mary." He went over. Romano silent, shaking. "Any words?" "I'm sorry. You did it anyway." Romano went over last. All 3 sank into black water. Illinois turned to Bumpy. "What now?" "Now we deal with the cops." Wednesday, November 15th, 10:30 a.m. Bennett's phone rang. "Commissioner Hendricks, I need to see you. Now." Commissioner's office. 11 a.m. On the desk. Photos from Grace's second viewing. Rope burns. Cigarette burns. Hayes statement. "Detective Bennett, explain why Grace Carter's death was ruled natural causes when she died from strangulation." Bennett couldn't answer. "Explain why you signed off without investigation." "No, sir. A woman was murdered, and you filed it away. I made a mistake. This is corruption." A knock. "Sir, we found Russo, Palmieri, Romano, East River. All dead. We found written confessions. They mention O'Brien. Paid him $1,200. Hendricks's face went red. "Where is O'Brien?" "I don't know, sir." "Find him. Now." Wednesday, 2:30 p.m. 7 officers knocked on O'Brien's door. "You need to come with us." Wednesday, 4:30 p.m. "Officer O'Brien, we have written confessions you accepted $1,200 to falsify a death report." Hayes statement. 2 options. Resign and face charges. Or fight and go to prison. Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. O'Brien resigned. Thursday morning, arrested. Made bail. Fled New York. Never seen again. The dominoes fell. Officer Kelly, transferred to desk duty. Detective Sullivan, resigned. Detective Bennett resigned. Wrote apology letter. Dr. Ashford, resigned in disgrace. Dr. Hartman transferred. Demoted. 6 men. All removed. Thursday, November 16th. Amsterdam News front page. Nurse Grace Eleanor Carter murdered. 3 killers found dead. 6 NYPD officers resign. Everyone in Harlem knew. Bumpy made sure justice was served. Monday, November 20th. Grace's second funeral. Over 900 people. Reverend Powell spoke. "Last Sunday, we mourned a woman we thought died of heart failure. Today we know different. Grace Carter was murdered. But someone refused to let her death be forgotten.
Someone demanded truth. 3 killers dead. 6 officers gone. This is what justice looks like. Grace Carter's name will not be forgotten. Amen. After the service, Mrs. Carter found Bumpy. Thank you for not letting them hide what happened. I didn't do it for thanks, Mrs. Carter. I know. You did it because Grace was family. She pressed something into his hand. A photograph. 9-year-old Grace smiling. Remember her this way. Bumpy looked at the little girl who saved his life. I'll never forget. November 12th, 1950. The day Bumpy Johnson stopped a funeral. By seeing what 500 people missed. By demanding truth when the system offered lies. By making sure Grace Carter's death meant something. Grace Eleanor Carter was laid to rest at Woodlawn Cemetery. Her gravestone reads, Nurse, Healer, Angel of Harlem. October 8, 1918. November 9th off. She saved lives. Harlem remembers. And beneath, justice was served. If this story moved you, hit subscribe, drop a comment. When the law fails, what options are left? Remember Grace Eleanor Carter. She saved lives. Harlem remembers. And Harlem never forgets.